been interrupted by a group of other drunken teens stumbling around after dark and scaring each other. The second time, it began pouring rain, and they barely made a dent in the soggy earth before nearly being caught by security. After that, Barrow figured they had to be smarter. They had to come up with a better plan and wait for the right time to act. To Barrow's surprise, Moot crouched down and jumped into the empty grave first. The boy looked back up, wiping his hands, his ferrety eyes bright. Barrow slung the duffel bag he carried off his shoulder and took out the tools he needed. He passed them down to Moot, then followed, the soles of his shoes thudding on freshly exposed dirt. For a second, the two teens glanced at each other, awed at their own conspiratorial daring. Then together, they began to attack the wall of the pit with shovels, burrowing like moles toward the neighboring coffin. Nuno stood watch near the tractor, chewing a quid of betel nut and pretending to be taking a casual break from the hard work of grave digging. It was uncommon for him to need to bring out the backhoe. Most Kekonese were cremated and entombed in columbaria or buried in small plots dug by hand. Due to space considerations, even wealthy families like the Kauls, who could afford full plots, were buried with only a foot of space between caskets, so it was not long before Barrow's shovel struck a hard surface in the wall of soil. Stifling a shout of triumph, he redoubled his efforts. Dirt flew. It streaked his sweaty hands, and when he paused to wipe his brow, it left muddy tracks across his face. Barrow did not feel any fatigue at all, only exhilaration and nearly unbearable anticipation. Surely it was because his rightful Jade was so close now, calling to him from within the coffin of the man he had killed. "Kaul Lon used to be the pillar of the No Peak clan," Moot said in a hushed but eager voice, speaking for the first time since they'd arrived. Moot was only 15, 3 years younger than Barrow, and his arms were skinny. He labored at their task, and his narrow face was flushed in the near dark. "He would have had more jade than just about anyone, wouldn't he? More than the Make brothers, even." A vengeful glint shone in Moot's eyes. He had his own reasons for wanting Jade. "You can bet on it, KK," Barrow answered, without shifting his attention. An anxious edge came into Moot's whisper. "How can we be sure the Jade's even here?" Except when taken by an enemy in battle, a Greenbones Jade passed to his family. Warriors were often buried with some ceremonial portion of their green, but Kaul's casket might contain only a few gemstones, or nothing at all. Given the intense cultural and religious stigma against stealing from the deceased, and the death penalty it carried, the effort and risk of grave robbing was rarely worth it, even for the most jade-fevered criminals. Barrow did not reply to Moot. He couldn't offer any reassurance other than that when he got a certain feeling, he always listened to it. He had that feeling now, like fate was smiling at him. The capricious tides of fortune pulled people this way and that, but Barrow thought they took special notice of him, that he rode higher on them than most. He'd had plenty of bad luck in his life from the minute he'd been yanked squalling from his short-lived mother's womb. But then again, he was alive when many others he knew were not. And now, he was close to Jade. The side of the casket was visible now. What had once been a burnished cherry surface shone dull brown against black earth. The teenagers put down their shovels and tied kerchiefs tightly over their noses and mouths, then pulled on heavy work gloves. Barrow picked up a cordless reciprocating saw. "Hold up the light," he said, his voice muffled by the cloth. Moot's narrow penlight came on. He played it over the side of the coffin. When Barrow started the saw, its shrill chatter nearly made him jump and drop the power tool on his feet. Moot's flashlight beam shook wildly.